March meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Committee. And we're here tonight, we'll have some reports, and then we'll have people's reports and budgets. And I'll entertain a motion on the minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move the approval of those minutes.
Second.
A motion second. Any questions about them? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll start with the reports.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the first 5 items on the agenda consisting of the OSHA, PAWS, EMA, Juvenile Detention and Correctional Work Center reports as a consent agenda for tonight so that we can move on to budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Read them and they seemed to all be pretty much in order. For all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Right now we got to approve them. Was that part of his motion was to approve them and put them on all in one? Okay, I didn't hear that word. We mentioned that a minute ago about doing it. Okay, so now we'll start with our budgets. Oh, no, we got, yeah. It says sheriff's office on it, doesn't it? Yeah. They moved them up. That's why they did it and wanted to change the budget to next month.
No budget
didn't-
tonight.
Yeah, so, yeah, okay. Chief Prep Acton.
Looks more than what it actually is, so. The first one will be your food prep, the decrease in that. We need to add, all this is in one budget. Prisoner clothing, which is to finish out our sealed ripstock mattresses and clothing for the inmates that we started. That should be complete. Transfer to we're low in extradition money, so we're going to put $10,000 in that. And the $35,000 is the equipment we need, computers and stuff for the bottom part of the judicial building. So all that will be nothing but our computers, our hard drives, and things like that.
Okay. You heard the request, it's all within your budget.
Make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
And the second one is to recognize in our general fund insurance money on a wrecked vehicle. So then we need to move that back into our new vehicle account, which is $4,369.
Make a motion to approve as submitted. Second.
Motion is second. Are there questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Our next one will be coming from the jail going into our sheriff's account. It's decreasing DP equipment, $25,000 to be put in our data processing supplies.
Heard the request?
I move we approve the motion.
Second.
Questions? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Our next amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees. We've had a big issue with vacant positions in the jail, FMLA request, and then of course the event we had in October. So we're cleaning up our salaries to put $80,000 in the sheriff's side, $70,000 in the jail side.
questions? We'll entertain a motion.
I do have one question. I'm sorry. How many vacant positions are there? Probably you
Up
mentioned
until
that there-
last week, we were running 15 down,
Okay.
15 positions
just-
down in the jail.
Yeah, I know you're using this to cover some of that. I just was curious what the number was. Okay.
Now, I think we're up, we have hired everybody, but you have another 4 to 5
Sure.
months of training.
Okay.
So, and then if we can keep them, you're,
Yeah, no, I get it. I just, always good to know what the number looks
Right.
like. Thank you. Make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Mr. Chairman.
Further questions? Go ahead.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. One more?
this is an insurance recovery also, however, it's from the narcotics, or the drug fund. It's to recognize $40,484 to be put back into their new vehicle account.
Questions? Call the roll, please.
Need a motion?
Oh, sorry.
Motion. I'll make a motion to approve the request as presented.
We got the roll there.
Excited about the budgets, isn't it?
Yeah.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. Further questions on the report or anything else for Chief Acton?
Do you want to do the resolution first?
Oh,
There's
or
a
the teen
resol-
grant,
Or
yeah.
the teen grant, and then I have something for y'all's approval on a resolution for National Correction Week.
Okay.
The teen approval is just like the THSO. They get separate money for the driver simulator and stuff, and then we're going to request for $25,000 for that grant this year, and I need y'all's approval to apply for it.
No matching funds. We'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do y'all have a copy of that resolution?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
in
it's
the
on there.
budget amendments.
And I did not know this, but I guess we need to bring it before y'all before we can take it to the next step, so this can be heard in April in front of the full commission.
Would you present this, Mr. Chairman, as the Chair of Public Safety, or who would read this resolution?
Well, it should come before and through public
Okay.
safety.
I
is
just
where
wondered,
it'll be
you
because it
generally we have
doesn't
the
have to go
resolution, we know
on-
who's presenting. I didn't.
Well,
make
usually it
sure.
has to go to budget.
Okay.
I don't believe this one does.
I don't think so. That's why I was asking. We probably could just move it right through.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
I'll second
resolution.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, real quick, well, maybe you don't know, because this deals with SROs. We have a SRO staff for every school right now. We're not having to, well, I know we had up in my end of the county, we had split one because we had an open position at.
Right, and there may be one still like that.
Mhm.
And then we had some military leave that we're trying to get covered on that. We still have training involved in that also. So maybe no more than 2,
Okay,
okay?
okay, just curious. You know, something you hear a lot about now.
I know.
Mr. Chairman, do we need to do the report itself, the line item report?
Yes.
with
Yes.
this? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve that report.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You know, I don't know if you all listen to the news, but where's it, Sumner County? It's been coming out that they don't have SROs at every school that they have up there. And they have just right around as many schools as we did. Even, so some of the high schools and all are smaller, I guess is what. But they didn't have it, and it's been quite a lot of discussion up there in Sumner about it, and I think they're going to go ahead with them and put them in. and it's gonna cost them in the middle of a year, something like $750,000 for the rest of the school year.
From what I understand, Murfreesboro doesn't either. Am I correct?
I don't know how they do it now. We had some big things years ago of that. And in more ways, one with crossing guards too and everything. Okay. All right. So we'll go with Judge Scott.
I got Magistrate Adam Dodd with me tonight as well. If you'll notice on what we presented to you, our biggest increases, we are asking for a additional full-time magistrate. Magistrate Dodd is our only full-time magistrate currently. So let me bring your attention down to item 399, other contracted services. We've got 2 part-time magistrates as we are now. So 2 gentlemen are using that amount of money. So if you approve the full-time magistrate, then if you notice that item goes down to only $30,000, because we'll just have 1 part-time to help us out. And then, of course, the other increases would be with memberships and travel that would come with another full-time magistrate.
For overall about a 5% increase.
It's about $37,000 increase is all, under $40,000.
And that's all basically related to the full-time magistrate.
It would, because we would cut that contract service amount. But then, of course, we have the expenses, but we've also got that added into your proposal. You know, the benefits.
How does the caseload compare now compared to, say, a year ago?
Well, our new system doesn't count numbers, so I can't give you numbers because we don't have that capability with the new system that we have. But I know that we are in court. We have right now 3 courts every Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and every other Thursday. We have 3 courts going as it is right now between Magistrate Dodd, myself, and our 2 part-time magistrates. And we never close. We can't close. Like some of the courts close around the holidays and Christmas week. Someone has to be there from the 8 o'clock to 4:15 every day for emergency petitions regarding our abused children, or if we arrest children and hold them.
Do you have a certain amount of time if it's a juvenile and they get arrested that they got to
They
come
have
before
to
you?
have a hearing within 72 hours. And if we remove a child for child abuse, those parents have to have a hearing within 72 hours. I'll be glad to give you all a moment and answer any questions that you have.
Is there a reason why your system wouldn't count numbers?
It's not my system. I have no idea. We don't have one in court. It's a clerk. It's the clerk system.
It's probably a question for the clerk then, because that makes no sense to me at all.
Well, I know that I had bought my
Yeah.
own system, and then we stopped with numbers at the end of budget last year.
Yeah.
Because,
And it's not just a court thing. If we have people coming up here saying we need more money, but I can't tell you the number increase, it puts us in any committee
Of course it
in a
does.
bad spot. It surprised me. I don't know if I knew it didn't track, the clerk's system like that didn't track.
and we are more akin to the circuit judges than our other county
Yeah,
judges,
yeah.
because we do hours and days of hearings.
Sure.
Especially when we have a severe abuse case, those could take a week.
Yeah.
of constant all day long. Our abuse cases are very much involved. And we don't ever really have anything except motions
Sure.
that are quick. But our hearings are like trials in circuit.
Okay.
And we're busy every day. We're holding court.
One of the things, if I may, that we look at is our lag time in setting trial dockets. I think right now, if somebody got a trial date today in front of the judge, our first open dates are October to November to set a trial from today.
Right.
Mine are in maybe August, September. So there's a lot of lag time between setting the trial and having the open dates available. So we did manually keep up with numbers for a while, for probably 2 or 3 years, and we had just in a spreadsheet form what those numbers were in the 10,000
10
range.
to 12,000.
Yeah, but that helps us. That's perfect, because I mean, that helps us. I'm a little concerned if we've got,
But I don't
outside
have
of
the
your
numbers to
conversations.
give
Yeah,
you,
that's okay.
and I
That's a clerk
understand that
question.
you'd like to have that.
Yeah, it just helps when, we know everybody needs something, and then the numbers help tell the story, just like data does on anything. So, but that information certainly helps too, so thank you.
Will that extra magistrate help in that situation some?
Absolutely, because instead of Magistrate McCullough working Monday and
Part-time,
Tuesday
yeah.
and every other Thursday, if he becomes that full-time, he'll work
Yeah.
every day. And they're gonna have to hear cases before them. And then because magistrates' final hearings are appealable to the judge, and so we try to have them do temporary, but we're at the point now where they're gonna just have to appeal to me. If they're not happy with the ruling, because we just have to, because there's only one judge, and you can't
Sure.
have but one judge in juvenile.
Well, I can see, we're dealing with juveniles in this situation, and what we're handling here, and the situation we're involved with. I can see where, we've got we're adding judges all across the board. And as we continue to grow, as we continue to take in more, this is just something we're going to have to do. And if this is the only cost that we're seeing here, I have no problem with going with this myself.
We added our full-time magistrate in 2007. That was the late Keith Siskin. Now, he was my magistrate, and then he went on to the circuit bench. So that's the last time we've had a full-time magistrate. From 2000, 2007, and then in 2007. So here we are at 18, asking for another full-time position.
I'm making the motion that we go.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Further questions or
For the
response?
whole budget or just the position? The whole budget.
Okay. So one thing, does this include the raises and insurance?
For everybody?
For this year?
I believe
year.
that it does. It does, doesn't it, son?
Okay.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in here.
Because we only have 2 staff.
Yeah.
We only have 2
Yeah.
staff, and then a judicial
But it
commissioner.
fluctuates, the insurance, and
Yes.
they've got it, it fluctuates, all that stuff
Shows
does.
that, yeah. It's
Okay.
gone up, yeah.
Okay. We'll call the roll. I guess we don't need to on this, unless y'all want to, and go on record as to how you vote. All right, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That's something. It's, no matter even percentage of crime goes down, as you grow sheer numbers, take it up.
You want me to do my report, just, if you already looked at that. I'll be on that monthly sheet. I did it before, I just bypassed it.
has any questions on the report? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the report as presented.
Second. The motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, I got to participate in the funeral for that Jesse Reed. Last Friday, yeah, it was Friday morning, and the way the first responders turn out anytime something like that happens to an individual.
Before we move on, one thing I would like to relate this to, the last page of my report, there's a letter from Lawrenceburg. I just want to mention that, where they sent this to the mayor. It's where firefighter Jason Dickey of Lawrenceburg passed away in a structure fire. We responded down there the next day and covered their station for 24 hours. And then went back down there that Friday and covered it for another 24, and just kind of covering where they could participate in the funeral. And of course, that's a small department. They're pretty much devastated. So us and Murfreesboro and a lot of other departments cover the calls. As a matter of fact, we caught a structure fire while we was down there. So they were very appreciative of Rutherford County and what we provided. And I just want to make y'all aware of that.
It was the right thing for us to do.
Yeah.
It's the right answer is always the
I'm proud of the way our guys responded down there and stood up for them.
Yeah.
Basically, in this year's budget, the only really big major change is I asked for one more person. What this person will do is, in FSLA laws, firefighters work 9 shifts a month. And there's certain months where they'll work that 10th shift, and that's called a Kelly Day, so they get that day off. And this one person what they will do, I have 112 Kelly days per year. They work a 28-day cycle. So there's 14 Kelly days in that each year in those 28 cycles. So 112 Kelly days per year, and this one person will just cover those Kelly days. So basically, they work eight shifts per month, and both stations covering those days off, and they'll work one extra shift. And of course, the insurance increased cost and the raises and everything is also part of this budget.
How far along are we on replacing all the old apparatus?
We got one from Rockville left, we got one from Eagleville left, and we got one from Christiana left. And Christiana is getting a tanker, should be here in April, and so that'll leave 2, if I'm correct. We're getting off the board.
After April, within a month, we'll be down to 2.
Yeah. The mayor did, when our discussion, he did want to keep that in the budget. He wanted to keep going with that replacement plan.
Let's replace 3 vehicles next year.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And then the other item is improvements to
Walk
Walker
to
Hill.
a station, yeah, we took over that station volunteer. We pretty much remodeled the station and rewired it. And this right here is going to put an addition on the back of it to make the bays a little bit longer. We
For
can
the
get,
larger truck.
yeah.
Chief, we're looking at here, it's got disposal fees.
That's where we have to pay somebody to pick up the trash at Barfield Station.
Why?
Well, Allied was doing it for free at first, and then they said they're going to have to start charging us, so we have containers we push out to the road, and they come out and pick them up once a week. Our garbage, our station garbage.
Vice Mayor, why wouldn't one of our county trucks pick that up?
We don't have a truck specifically designed to pick up those type of trash cans. We've got, front loaders, not the rear loading for the.
And there's really not a place there for a dumpster where they can come in and pick those up. There's not really a place there for our parking lot to put that dumpster. And of course, the Walk Hill Station is right there by it, so they pick it up they pick it up as part of just a courtesy because we're right there on top of them.
I make a motion, we approve this and send it on to budget as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Questions? It's, there's a few items, most everything's the same, there's a few items that's gone up a little bit, just to kind of keep up with the inflation, prices of gear and stuff, but it's
Some diesel fuel that's gone.
it gone up.
Kept gasoline the same. I mean, most of it is in that salary and wages for the extra person. And that's gonna bring in some other benefits.
Well, the thing about it is, it was either go up to 70,000 in part-time or hire that one person. So, of course, the mayor being the negotiator is, he said, well, if I give you this X person, you have to cut 30,000 out of your part-time budget because it cost me $30,000 just to cover my Kelly days. So he said, you give me 30,000, I'll give you that person. So we cut the part-time budget for that.
No further questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
The next big one is when it comes back.
Oh, my Lord. You have both of them.
Okay, thank you.
EMS. How you doing, Mr. Nunley?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. I'm tired. I'm working too hard though, and getting retired.
Made 2,550 calls last month, average response time 7.5 minutes. We had 47 DOAs and did autopsies on 16 of those. We billed $1,425,428 and collected $786,684. Brings our year-to-date collections to $5,613. And our projection is $8,419,000. We had insurance write-off of $622,035 and other write-offs of $8,205. We drove a total of 45,209 miles. Our total of operating costs was $17,702. Next page is a report of our in-services and training. We had 9 of those. Our tactical paramedic team was involved in 3 different issues there. We had a REACT team that does public relations, community relations. We're involved in 7 different things. And our SORT responded to motor vehicle accidents and medical calls, extrication classes, and the rest of it is training classes.
Where was the dive call for the vehicle? Was it the river here?
I don't remember. Adam, where was it?
Holmes Knob.
Hold on. Take it to one person in it when you got to it, right? Okay.
The next page is fire report for our sort callouts, and you can see the numbers there, total 151. The next page is our sick hours, which are made up of sick leave as well as FMLA and medical leave and on-the-job injury. At the bottom of that is the total number of sick leave taken in days, which is 109. The rest of the report is thank you notes.
Questions on the report? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion to approve this report as presented.
Second.
Further questions? Call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Have a budget amendment?
Yes, David, we need to transfer some money from our paraprofessionals payroll into overtime and part-time. And the reason that's needed is simply we're using more overtime and part-time personnel to cover vacancies on the 24-hour trucks. Those are the result of people leaving in positions that are difficult to fill, as well as that report I gave you earlier about the FMLA and those sort of things. Also on that is a request to transfer money into our medical supplies and medications. We can transfer that money from contracts with private agencies, and that's the amount of $25,000. Hopefully that'll get us through the end of the year, but I may be back.
On your FMLA, is there a set minimum amount of time they have to go on it?
Not a minimum amount of time. They're allowed to take up to 12 weeks, FMLA. And even though the law concerning FMLA doesn't require that it be paid leave, but the county has decided that they could use sick leave for that. And in the case of maternity leave, it's 14 weeks.
Questions? If not, we'll entertain a motion of the budget.
Budget amendment, right?
Amendment, yes.
Move to approve the budget amendment as submitted.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Serena?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Do y'all not have this?
Not on paper, we have it on the spreadsheet here on the
I brought some, but
iPad.
I don't think there are enough that I can get them to you.
That's all right. It's on,
You
it's
have-
on my.
It's on
iPad.
my
It's on
iPad
paper.
here. I've already looked at it.
Do you want a hard copy?
Not
Anybody?
necessarily, no. It's here. We can go back and print it off ourselves
Okay.
if we want to.
I'll take one if you got it.
All right. Bye. Anybody
Can I
else?
get one?
Here. That's the revenue and the,
Am I supposed to have that?
yeah, that's the revenue worksheet and the 5-year capital plan.
It's all on the, all right.
Yes, okay.
Do you want to just go through this line item by line item?
Well, I think mainly what we want is items that change.
Yeah, I just saw 4 or 5 items that are big change that probably should be covered.
And this does include the anticipated raises for each position, et cetera, and you get the insurance info benefits are included in this, right?
Yeah, we get all that stuff from Lisa, so.
Yes. Sometimes it hadn't come over by the time we talked. That's why.
I know it's come over since the
Yes.
time that we first went over it, because we had to change this paper. Do you want me to go through the,
I guess, significant changes one way or the other. Reductions are included, like what we're putting in for new vehicles, et cetera.
we have a change in line item, was it 118? That's the way that number shows. Contracts with private agencies.
312.
312. We added some money for lawn care. Ben Mankins' department was doing that, and they decided not to do it. And it was put out for the total county for bid, and the bid came back so high. They only had one bid, and it came back so high, the purchase committee didn't accept it. So I think it's just going to go by department, at least that's what we were told. But so we changed that to reflect $30,000 for lawn care for all of our stations. The mayor didn't think that would be enough, but it's just a guess.
It looks like your part-time personnel and overtime pay have both increased by 100,000, right? Just due to growth and new people and just and lack of having people, I think.
If you recall, last year it went down.
Right.
And so that was a mistake, which is what we're trying to rectify here tonight when giving a budget amendment. But it just didn't play out the way we thought it would. I don't know, unless the county decides to make some changes and that they treat some of the FMLA and so forth, that's going to change in all honesty.
Are you adding another dispatch position?
One position.
So that's what the increase in,
That and I was kind of hoping you wouldn't ask me about that because I haven't talked to the dispatch about this yet, but one of my proposals is going to be to put a lead dispatch person on each shift. We won't be adding any personnel for that, Commissioner.
site building improvements is the next big item.
77.
It goes from 10,000 to 400,000.
We are, there's three things that we're kind of working on. Commissioner Pierce's committee was one of them. We're kind of in a negotiation or talk with fire department and the volunteer fire department out of Las Casas about putting an ambulance station or something there. This is not enough money to do that, but it will allow $100,000 to kind of get us started on that should it take place. There's also money in there to make an addition to the MTSU station so that we can put 2 ambulances there.
That was proposed last year, so I'm surprised we were not onto that, so that's badly needed.
And the other one is when the county purchased the property for the shop on Florence Road.
Right.
There's a 3-bedroom house there that could be used for an ambulance station, but we'll have to build bays to house the vehicles.
That is a rapid growth area right there. I mean, all that.
It's a good place for an ambulance.
Pretty good
too.
location too, because you can go either way and hit and go to north end or south end if you.
And 840 too.
Right, and 840. Right.
That's actually where we use a standby when we have to bring another ambulance to cover.
For, yeah, okay. But yeah, that would be a great location in my opinion. Because I've said in previous years, we need to be building more ambulance stations and we need to be equipping them. And so this is a good start on it.
Where is the one at Florence Road?
Mr. Gurley probably can tell you better than I can.
Where?
Florence Road.
It's at the maintenance facility that we bought, the property that was bought for maintenance there at Florence, right across the street from,
Right next to Murfreesboro Road, right back.
right on the other side of the road from
highway.
their processing thing. You can go down, hit Old Nashville, you can hit New Nashville, you can go right on out Florence and hit Manson, or go on and hit Veterans from there. It's a good location to get to service a lot of different areas from there.
When all of the ambulances are busy in the north end, as I said, that's what we use to stand by there too.
And if we can do it and utilize partial resources that are there already, then great.
I don't think, the house is in good shape. We looked
Right.
at it. We think we probably can use it simply by just building bays for the ambulances.
Is it helping now that our full-time firemen can do some things that take care of that? And the reason I'm saying that, I was at the Eagleville City Council meeting Thursday night, and I heard the ambulance call come there. They come down, went to the restaurant next door to the city hall there, and then, it was a good while, here come Rutherford firefighters come through by City Hall going out Alabama Road. And all the city council said, what's that about? Why is that fire engine going through here? Because we had the fire chief and everybody else in the city council meeting. And they said there was a diabetic situation out Alabama Road, and they already had the ambulance tied up there. So
And we work very well with the Rutherford Fire Department.
but they happened same time,
Right. Seems like it always does.
same situation right there.
I think we've decided what we're trying to do at Lascassas can be put back on the property that's already owned, isn't that right? County-owned property. So we won't have to buy any land or anything.
Where is it, the last page? Did we get to it?
Just had to go to the last page.
That's a real big.
Did the mayor weigh in on this? Did he provide any feedback on this budget to Deputy Mayor Davidson, or back to you, Mike?
He told me to bring the budget as we had it to this committee, to let y'all know that there could be cuts further down the road. He and I discussed several things. One of the things that's not in this budget, but he and I did discuss, is our sort truck.
Mhm.
That's a very expensive truck, but it's gaining a lot of miles on it. It's been used, and we're spending a lot of money on it. Would probably be a good backup truck, but at some point in time, we need to replace that truck.
What's the cost on it? You said it's expensive. What's that,
$500.
$500,000?
Yeah, it's relatively about the same price as the fire truck.
Oh, okay.
So it's about 550, something like that. I suggested that we kind of look at maybe a grant for that truck, and he was receptive to that idea.
Can we go with something like fire is using for rescue without total customization, that's kind of more or less generic?
It's almost identical to what fire is using, except the cabinetry and the stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Can we not just make it work and do something that comes off the line without having to be customized online so much, and reduce our costs somewhat there?
Maybe, but it's still going to cost about the same as fire truck, which is $550, I think, is what the last one's cost.
All those trucks are built to specs, aren't they? Whatever you request. Awesome.
That model is what? What year model is that truck? It's old, I know that.
I
It's
think it's 10 years. How old is it, Adam?
It's an 06 Freightliner.
06?
Yes, sir. 12 years.
Okay. So we're
Those
talking-
Ferraris we buy are on bid product. It's on a statewide bid thing.
Yeah, so it is 12 years old. And by the time we get another one in here, it would be, if we said to go this tonight, it would be 13 years old. Or maybe 14 by the time it's built.
Correct.
So we're asking, yeah, I mean, if we don't do something up front, I mean, I say up front, before it becomes totally incapacitated, and I've been around that vehicle a lot personally. And it, even 3 or 4 years ago, was getting incapacitated fairly frequently. And I'm afraid if we wait too much longer, we'll just have it out of service for like a year or so. We won't even have that capability.
They're expensive to repair.
Well, you get to a certain point where some things just can't be repaired. And it's not expensive, it just don't happen or whatever. So personally, I think it needs replacing this year. I think it needs to be in the budget because it is an old vehicle, and it'll be probably 14 years old at the time we get another vehicle on the street. And that is a long time.
Didn't you make mention you was gonna try to apply for some type of grant to help on this or something?
You know, that truck covers the entire county. It's a heavy rescue truck. It also covers a fire zone for extrication. But it is a countywide truck. And there's one agency here in town that set up exactly for that type of a grant.
How long's the grant process take?
Not very long with them. And the mayor's the one that primarily does that. He has to coordinate it because it'd be kind of foolish for us to ask for $550,000 if he was working on something that
Yeah,
costs $3 million.
sure.
So.
I mean, we can apply for a grant, but there's no guarantee that we will get a grant for that kind of truck, because that was funded under a Homeland Security grant back in the days when Homeland Security money was flowing freely.
Yeah.
And that is not the case anymore. And that money's few and far between. And I don't see it getting any better. So I don't think I think we're just gonna have to commit to funding it. And then if we can get a grant, great. But we just need to step up and fund it.
Mike, how many of these, I know the easy answer, but the difficult answer is on these 5 new ambulances, how many of those are actually needed? I mean, when you're looking at the whole budget, it's a 15 or 17% increase, and that's a big number. So how much of I mean, I know you need them, but I mean, what's the...
You know, if push came to shove, we obviously would get by with whatever we did.
Yeah.
That was one area I think that the mayor.
That's kind of where I was going with that. I mean, to Commissioner Gurley's point, I mean, if there's flexibility where the sort truck outweighs, you know, if to your point, where we keep kicking that can and then there is no more can to kick, is there flexibility to cut 2 ambulances and look at budgeting for the sort truck? If the grant, I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
I kind of
mean,
thought we always looked at replacing a minimum of 3 ambulances every year, and it gets back to, you know, what kind of service do you want to provide for the citizens of Rutherford County? Do you want your patients running emergency traffic in a 140-some-odd thousand mile vehicle? I mean, you know, it's one thing to take someone in convalescent mode from Rutherford County to a Nashville hospital at the normal speed limit. I just don't, I mean, I personally know what abuse these vehicles go through when they're running emergency traffic. You encounter all kinds of situations, from quickly stopping when somebody decides to do that in front of you, so your brakes wear, the time that I had a vehicle that, here in the county, I mean, I think I went through at least 2 sets of brakes, and that was only 4 years, so about every 2 years, we get wore out a set of brakes, because you just can't do it. This and that, tires, we went through, you know, just 2 or 3 sets of tires. That type of running of that vehicle is not what you do with your normal vehicle, and it's wear and tear. It's wear and tear on the engine, so.
To further illustrate that point, we change the brake pads on the ambulances every other time we change the oil. And if we don't, then
You're gonna get in trouble.
the brake pads will get into the rotor, and then we gotta
Then you're
replace the
in bigger
rotor.
trouble, yeah.
But around here with the increase in the people in the mid-state, not just Rutherford, you're gonna have the traffic, and it's not gonna get better. Now, you can talk to a transit plant and whatever, but
If you look
we're
at
not
that
seeing it.
that table on the second page of the report, you can see the mileage on the vehicles. We try to replace them by 175,000. We're running some actually that are above that right now.
But we look at what you're gonna take in yearly projection for collections is 8.5 million.
I got this, I'm gonna solve that for you in a few minutes.
You're gonna solve that in a few minutes. Oh, yeah, you're gonna turn it into 16.5? Okay, that's it, because, well, to me, somewhere near 2, because you're talking roughly 125, 130,000 for a new ambulance. And what's a remount? About 90?
About 85.
85, okay, to there. And, well, you can add, you know, that would be with what you're requesting, 7 new ones. And what, well, let's ask about the admin vehicles. I bet they're 10 years old or 8 years old, getting close to it, right?
What we do is the assistant director, there's one on each shift, they get the new ones, and then theirs get handed down. But yes, we've got, eventually, hopefully, we'll get everybody that we need with a vehicle and the smaller Ford Explorers, but we're not there yet. We're still using some vehicles at the sheriff's department.
Yeah. I say, if you get down to where the property assessor gave you some of them, then they could get worried.
We still got those too.
Okay. Some of those go back to 2000, even maybe 98 or 99. Okay. How about then, let's go down to 735. I like the way you put that, health equipment, and it sounds like, boy, pretty good gym form. I see. Just explain, when you said the total budget, what are we looking at there? Everywhere they don't want to last a few years, don't they?
The last defibrillators that we bought, you know, those things are highly electronic, and that seems to change relatively quickly. We don't need to replace all of them by any means, but the ones that we have now are not being manufactured by that company anymore, so that means that they'll quit servicing within the next few years. So, you know, better than buying them all at once. I think it might be better just to look at replacing a few at a time.
And we're not talking about AEDs, we're talking about actual defibrillators that are in the
Right,
ambulance.
and they're capable of running 12 lead EKGs.
Right.
And those in-motion routers that is mentioned there too, those are what transmits the 12 lead EKG to the hospital. And it keeps the ambulance connected electronically.
Right. So when your ambulances come, what else do you have to put on? I know like the sheriff would buy a car, but then it's not a whole lot more than a car right then. I mean, they get all kinds of stuff.
Our administrative vehicles are like the sheriff's. We have to add a lot of things to it, like the emergency lights and all of that stuff. But the ambulances come as ambulances. We do have to put supplies and equipment inside them.
Further questions?
Or, I'm still not comfortable with 5 ambulances. For me, I mean, it has nothing to do with Mike and his crew that's here, that I'm looking them in the face. Yeah, 17% increase is a pretty big number, and again, I don't fault Mike for any of that, but I'm responsible for sitting up here and looking at the budget and trying to weigh need and cost and several other things. To Joe's point earlier, if we agreed on considering adding 3 new ones each year, why would we not take away those 2?
Well, don't forget the remounts.
Right, and I just, that's just just something, if I'm the only one, that's okay, I can stand on my own 2 feet, I'm not comfortable with that.
And to me, when you throw the sort truck in there too, I mean, somewhere there's got to be a play in it, because the only way we have to raise money in this county, the only thing we can do, we all know it, is the property
Yeah.
tax, where the state will not give us anything for school, even give us a means that we can put it on our shoulders.
I truly appreciate what y'all have to go through. I do. I've been here for a long time and understand this maybe a little bit better than some people, but you know, the issue that I have, and I think all of you will agree with this, is that we have tremendous growth here, people moving into this county every day, and as you know, the growth doesn't pay for itself. We make more ambulance calls, we put more miles. I mean, we're wearing an ambulance out every 2 months. You know, that's essentially what's happening if you look at the mileage. And
Well, I also know, well,
How much is the actual adding of the additional console position going to cost?
just the personnel, we have the console itself, and it's currently being used as a training console.
Okay, so you're just adding an additional person, not buying a new console?
Console's over there.
Okay. So if we remove 2 ambulances, how much are we saving?
They're 127,000 apiece, so that's.
So it's 260,000 roughly? I could go along with taking 2 ambulances out.
well, just like I said, well, that'll still leave us with 5.
No, I'm talking about 2 new ambulances out of there.
He meant the remounts are
We're gonna have
basically
remounts, which
the same.
There's 7 there.
I mean, the sort truck is a big expenditure, but it's gonna have to be done some point in time. And if we wait until it's a crisis, then,
Too late.
yeah. We have, I don't like spending that kind of money any more than anyone else, but we lose that type of resource that we have in this county. I mean, people from other counties, we kind of look to Rutherford in that regard. I mean, we have well-trained people, and well-trained people don't do any good unless they have good equipment, and equipment that will get them there, and get them there safely.
You know, there's very little difference in the money-wise, what we approved for Mr. Farley and what he's asking for, and they're both very important services.
Yeah.
You know, whether you beat it up and down this table or not, there's about 300,000 difference in fire trucks and what he's asking for his ambulances. I can't see where you got an issue there.
Well, it's the fact that we're jumping a budget 17%.
You got more people you got to take care of.
No, I understand. That's not, I don't think they always have to be tied in together, though. We still have a responsibility to look at that and ask those questions. So, yeah, I get what you're saying,
yeah.
Commissioner Piercy. I'm answering for me,
Yeah.
and when I look at it, better understanding of, you know, when the sheriff's department comes up next week and says we need 17% more, you know, where does it stop? And I'm not pinning that on you. I'm just saying, for me, to not ask that is not, I'm not doing my taxpayers a good service by just asking those questions too.
I don't fault you for asking your
No, I
question.
understand. I get what, I completely respect and understand what you're saying. If we agreed to 3, why are we not sticking to 3? And Mike was here, Mr. Nunley, need to show you some better respect than that. Mr. Nunley
I'd rather be calm.
was there, okay, was aware of that, and I think Commissioner Gurley even brought that up. But you're right, the growth.
I don't know there's been any agreement.
No, I'm just
I mean,
saying,
that's just kinda-
we
been
discussed it last year about the
at least
idea was if we
for,
move forward, 3 new ambulances is something we need to consider on the Public Safety Committee. Well, now to Commissioner Schaefer's point, we're basically talking about 7. Well, that's a 100% leap, and that's just where I'm at, Mr. Pierce. is
Well, we've always done
we didn't
remounts
just-
too, in addition to.
We did, I'm just saying, we didn't just jump, we catapulted ourselves.
If we go back
on
to
this
3
budget.
new ambulances plus the 2 remounts, I mean, we've always done remounts in addition to new ambulances.
Yeah.
But we didn't always
We didn't
do
do
the
the
sort
sort
truck
truck.
engine.
We didn't always do a
Right.
sort truck.
That's
Sort
it.
truck is a big item, and
And I remember the day, not that long ago, that if we got 2 ambulances a year, we were happy to be able to do it.
yeah,
And,
I
well, and that
remember the
just
day
shows
when we
where
had
we-
only 2 ambulances in the county.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about a little more recent history than that. But,
You're right, you beat me on that.
but, you know, I say some of the other things, I say, I'm just gonna throw that, is the building additions and remodels and all that. There's a possibility of not doing all of that in 1 year. Do have 1 or 2 of those in a year, which that's about an item to jump from 10,000 to 400,000. So if it was only 300,000, they could probably accomplish 2 of them, of what they're wanting to do.
We're trying to do that in stages. That's not enough to build anything. It's just enough to kind of get us started on all 3.
The other thing too, Commissioner Piercy, what I don't like doing is what I feel shirking my responsibility, and that's to send it to budget and say, you guys figure it out. I'd rather go to them with something I feel is an honest budget request from a committee that I'm involved in, instead of telling them, hey, I don't agree with all of it, but you guys sort it out. I just don't feel comfortable voting on something just for me to move it so somebody else has to deal with it.
I don't
I don't
think
like
that
to.
was even brought up, was it?
It has been in the past. I mean, there's
That we're
been.
shoving it on.
No. I'm answering for me. Like, I don't want to vote yes for something now, only to go back to them and say, I voted yes just to get it to you, but I don't agree with it. I'd rather my no mean no now and explain why I disagree with it instead of going to budget and saying, well, let me tell you guys why you need to vote on it. No, now I already had my shot at it. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Clear as mud.
Is our whole discussion now, right, is just totally within these ambulances? Is that where we are right now?
With,
Yeah.
part of it's with the total completely too. If you can
If-
think of somewhere else, yeah.
I know, that's what I was getting at, because I see where we keep batting this around, and we're going to keep batting it around, and I think the 3 ambulances, I think, works very well. And since we got the new sort truck in there with it too, and I think that would work fine with what we need to go with. Of course, everybody now is already talking about how far we go back to when it was 2 ambulances, no ambulances. Do we want to go back when Woodfin was picking up everybody? I mean, come on.
The bottom line is we don't want to go back to 7.9 seconds
Seconds on it.
average response time at the end of 2016-17. We've done some things in this past year that's dropped that response time. I tell you, when you get that response time up near 8 seconds and so on, you're talking about people, whether they live or whether they die. And that's exactly what we don't want. We want people living. I'll just put it in that frame, not dollars and cents, but whether people live or whether people die. And so we want to keep that. There's been some positive things done. We've got to keep, we're growing. We've got to keep. If we want to, we haven't had a big thing in the county, but if something were to happen, we want to be able to supply the resources needed to save lives, and that's what counts. But these guys and gals are doing this every day. I hear all the time where in my end of the county or the south end, this end of the county, that there's nobody to respond, or it's going to take a little bit longer to respond. And, do you want your mother, your grandmother, your child to be that one that it took 12 seconds, 15 seconds to get to. Oh, I'm sorry, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about people's lives. And so we want to keep that response time down. That's the number that we should be looking at. Now, if we feel we can only do, if the only way this budget can get out with a full recommendation of this committee is to drop a couple of ambulances off, new ambulances off of this, then I'll vote for it that way. But I fully believe there's nothing else for it that not needed.
I'll tell you what I'm looking at a total of 575,000, because I think out of 3 items that can be cut. And it's 718, 735, and 707. I think we could get by with it. And that's still, that comes in at that gets back to EMS for one thing. They can decide what their highest priorities are in there. If they can strip down some of the other ones.
Mr. Chairman, which one did you say? I'm sorry, I heard
718, that's the vehicles.
the ambulance, the vehicles, 735.
35, which is the health equipment, and 707, which is the building
Building
improvements.
improvements, okay.
Now, what are you suggesting with those?
I think 575,000 could come out of those 3. And I'm not putting it down, but it's, I could go and put it down XXX, but that leaves them, my logic is there's at least that much in there, and that leaves it up to EMS can make a decision in there if they want to cut. Well, we'll just say if they wanted to only get 1 admin vehicle instead of 2, and maybe they could get squeeze another ambulance in there or something.
We're taking 575,000 out of the total budget.
Of what he's asking for. Out of the 2,435,000 that he's asking for. Yeah, because how I look at it, because I'm looking at more than just public safety, where it's going to come from. That's roughly 2,435,000 is about 4.5 to 5 cents on the property, on the pennies as it's standing now on the property tax. Is where that would have to come from, unless it's what that's equivalent to, because the projections and.
So that would be as asked for is 2,230,000, and you're going to take 575 out of that.
No, the total increase is 2,435,000, round numbers. From 14,110,000 to 16,535,000. 447. That leaves you 2,435,000. Because we got a building that's opening in May. It's going to be full payments on from now on till we do it. And somewhere we're going to have to do that because.
So basically, we're going to take the sort truck out of there in the sense of.
Well, if you want to put it, well, that's it off
it's all in
there.
on.
Or they can work on the ambulances and maybe some from the other 2 line items.
Why don't we just take the sort truck out of there and be done with it? Then if we're going to do it that way and be quite transparent.
Well,
That's, I mean, you got to have ambulance. Like I said, the bottom line is that response time. That's what affects people directly.
The reason I said it the way I did was to leave them some room that they can decide what they feel they need the most.
Joe, or Commissioner Gurley, I thought you just said you felt like we needed the sort truck though, because.
Well, I do, but if you're going to start taking stuff out of other things that directly affect the response time, then, in the sense of the day-to-day medical emergencies of this county, then if we can you know, if we want, we can push the sort truck out another year, but I've said what I said about that. But, I mean, if something's got to give, then I'd rather see the sort truck go than ambulances go, because they directly affect the response time to patients of citizens of Rutherford County. And now the sort truck provides a service. If you have somebody in certain situations and you don't have that truck available, yeah, they're gonna die too. But that probably happens less frequent than the day-to-day medical emergencies that happen in this county. And but I really hate to see it go, because I think, like I said, putting it off another year, are we going to be any better off next year?
Be worse off.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, that's what I'm
Seriously,
thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Now's the year to do it. And you know, we either provide the services or we don't provide the services, and what level of services. But like I said, I don't want to see the response times go back up, because people die. People die a lot more, you know. Those are facts. I mean, those, because we have X number of medical emergencies in this county every day. And if you increase the response time to them, there's no, will this happen, or what if this happened, or anything. That's just a day-to-day fact.
But if you put, so the sort building addition is not in this budget, right? It's the one that you're projecting for next year. So if we did push the sort truck, you're talking about $1 million for the sort addition and the truck
We don't
next year.
replace the sort truck pretty quick. We won't need an addition to the sort building.
No, that's why I'm saying that is if we push the sort truck out next year, you're
'Cause there
still
won't
going to be dealing with
you know, they won't be
the
running.
building. Right, but that's what I'm getting at is if, I don't know if we can push it out, given that we're looking at another $500,000 in an addition next year, whether we have a new truck in there or not.
They up in the state General Assembly, each body had a bill that was being debated on to give, and it was for growth counties, but they put they had it in there if they gain more than X amount of kids, 250, I think, a year, which we have no problem with. And I probably wasn't even born when we only had 250 new kids coming in a year. But this was to take 2% of the state sales tax that county generated, and up to, I think they had 20 or 25 million in the pot. Up to that amount, and they would dole it back out to the counties. Okay, it would come to us probably a little $2 million or so, but it was moving along in the House, and the Senate had it tabled the last I know, and that was only last week is when I checked on it to find out from somebody. So that means if it goes back, you know, to committee or something, they're not going to do anything with it this year. And we've got, staring us in the face, next year we've got the opening of Rockville High School.
Rocky Fork Elementary School.
And Rocky Fork Elementary.
Elementary, that we've already approved.
Mike, how much does it cost in 735, you said includes purchase of defibrillators, all that equipment for the new vehicles? How much does it cost for each vehicle? If we would cut it to 3 instead of 5, how much does that save on 735 from 408 to, does it cost 30,000 a vehicle, 50,000? How much does it cost roughly?
The defibrillator itself is $15,000.
Okay. So all of that would be $50,000 per vehicle. So if you cut 2, that's 100,000 that you save by going from 5 to 3.
I heard somebody mention a minute ago when there was 2 ambulances in Rutherford County, that was 1972. We were making 150 calls a month.
Right.
And now we're making 3,000 calls a month.
When we were purchasing 2 new ones a year, that was only about, what, 2009, something like that, probably, 2010.
What's the population of Weatherford County?
About 330, something like that. Yeah.
Population in 1972 was 30,000, 15 in the city and 15 in the county.
I know it was 84,000 in this 1980 census, and that's when that judicial building was built, and we're still using it right now. So, well, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, from 718, we changed 5 new ambulances to 3. We changed 2 remounts to 1, and we remove from 735 $100,000 to go from 408,140 to 308,140. That's a savings right there of about 440,000.
Reduce 735 by 100,000.
Reduce 735 by 100,000.
Okay.
And that's my that's my motion.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Motion fails for a lack of a second.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this as requested, with the positive affirmation to budget that this is needed.
We have a motion on the floor. We need a second. We can use a second for discussion, but that means we got to have a vote on it at the end of it, one way or the other. Motion fails for lack of a second.
So what we're gonna do now, we're not gonna approve it, we're not gonna cut it, so now.
So it's going to go back to what Mr. Turner said. We won't do the next step. We don't do anything. Okay, I guess I can. I could live with Mr. Turner's motion. So I guess if I turn the chairmanship over to Commissioner Reed, then I can make a motion. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Reed.
Hey, do I have a motion on this budget?
I make a motion that I'll go with 2 ambulances, we deduct 1 admin vehicle and 1 remount, and $108,140 from item 735.
Second.
We got a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. Okay.
All right, could you read that motion back to us?
No, I do have a question. You want 2 ambulances, or are you cutting 2?
Cutting 2.
You're cutting 2 ambulances, you want 1 admin vehicle and 1 remount, and you're reducing line item 735 by $100,000.
$108,000, 140.
108.
140. That's the odd change that was after.
Okay. You're cutting 2 ambulances, you want 1 admin car, 1 remount, and you're reducing line item 735 by 108, 140.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, read that back, what you got there. Exactly.
Commissioner Schaefer's motion is to cut out of the ambulance budget, to cut 2 ambulances, so there will be 3 in the budget. There's 1 admin vehicle, 1 remount, and reduce line item 735 by $108,140.
Yep.
We have a motion. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Do we have a second?
We have a second. We have a second.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes. Motion carries. I return it back to our chairman.
Well, we got some, I hope we can all live with it, and I hope we're able to live with it. Thank you.
I have one other thing I want to bring up to you.
Okay.
Let me get Bucky to come up here. This is not on your agenda, so you don't have anything there, but I think Brian brought one for you. For the past 2 or 3 years, we've been discussing adding a new division to the ambulance service, which is essentially a convalescent ambulance service. Any profit to be made in an ambulance service is to be made in a convalescent side. We think that we're asking you to approve this. The concept is, the mayor said to ask you for this amount of money to staff 1 ambulance, 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, and on a 1-year trial basis. If it makes money, which we feel confident it will, then we'll be back next year to talk to you about it some more. I really truly think that we may be back before then, because we'll be able to show you how we can get, in order to break even on this budget, we need to make 3.5 calls a day, which is not a big, large amount of calls for that. We think there's a need for it for the citizens. We think that the county has a need for it. And it may not happen during my tenure, but I think at some point in time, this thing will be so successful that it will make up the difference. We collected $8.5 million on our, well, it's not 16,000 anymore, but this year our budget was 14,000. We're going to collect about 8. So trying to make up that $6 million difference so that the ambulance service doesn't cost the taxpayer. And if we're able to do that, then I think this is the answer. Brian Gaither has led the charge on this. He presented this concept to one of the business classes at NTSU and did a business plan. That was accepted favorably. The mayor is in agreement with it, and he thinks it's a good idea. I don't know what else to tell you.
We've talked about this several times, y'all.
Yeah.
In general, but this is the first time to kind of narrow it down.
Here's the situation, folks. There are 2 ambulance services that are based in Rutherford County, convalescent services. That's, there's a number of other convalescent ambulance services that are coming into this county that are based somewhere else. And most all of them are doing it in violation of state regulations. Because state regulations say that if a convalescent ambulance service is going to operate in the county, then it has to have an office there, a true office with office hours. It has to pay business taxes there, it has to buy its tags there. These other ambulances aren't doing that. That's the market that we want to go after. We're not interested at all in doing anything that would hurt the two ambulance services that are here. In fact, hopefully we'll be able to come up with an agreement with them so that we all profit from it. We're looking for our share. And currently, just in all truthfulness to you, St. Thomas has a convalescent ambulance. There's not a convalescent ambulance service in Tennessee that wants to take TennCare patients because they don't get paid for that. So what happens now is St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital has what they call a one-call system. And when they have a discharge transfer, somebody to send out of the hospital, whether it be to home or nursing home or another hospital, they go through the one-call process, and they first call the St. Thomas ambulance. If it can't take it or won't take it, then they go down the line of all the ones they have on their call system. If it's a TennCare patient, none of them can take it, so it defaults to us. So we take those patients. I think you all are familiar with the fact that we've recovered a lot of money through the state TennCare project just because we take that many patients. So I think it's needed. I think there's a lot of outside ambulance services that are just in it for the money here, and they're not providing the service that the citizens need. We can provide that service. We're better at it than they are. I think it's a good idea, and I think ultimately it'd be a good idea for the county's taxpayers because we're going to reduce, at least at first, reduce the amount of tax money that's needed for the emergency service, and I think at some point in time it'll get to the point where it won't require any tax money.
Where would you base this?
And the Burton Street building. That's the reason we have not vacated that building. That's been going on for this long. And as most of you know, my office is still there because I learned a long time ago that if you completely vacate a building in Rutherford County, every other department in the county swarms them off. So my office has stayed, even though I do have an office at the Pace Center, my office has stayed at Burton Street, and that's where it would be housed. And I don't anticipate that they're going to be there very much at all because they'll be busy.
Well, how do those out-of-county ambulances still then operate here if they're doing it illegally? Just because they haven't been reported or what?
Yeah, they've been reported a lot, but the state EMS evidently doesn't have enough people in enforcement to do much about that.
I think it makes sense, Mr. Nunley, because I think everyone on this committee was in agreement last time you came up here and you did a good job putting this together and presenting it. So I would make a motion that we move forward with this recommendation for the emergency services, ambulance services.
Second.
Motion is second. Further questions? Okay. How qualified person? Are you going to have an EMT on it and a driver? Is that, or are we
EMT and an advanced EMT.
Were you approving the budget in
least.
your motion?
Okay. So would the others that do this? Do they have it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
driver thing is kind of, the state's kind of pushed that back. And that's what I based that pay off on. Was
Okay.
We had those scales set, and that's every cost with the employee. Because that second chart, Lisa, I sent her the numbers and she sent me back that. She did on it.
For the ambulance to be used, can't you use a more worn ambulance for this since it's not emergency traffic? and all?
That's what we intend to do.
That's the good, there's little to no cost other than the employees to starting this.
So employees cost and a little bit of fuel.
Further questions? Call the roll, please. Joe?
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Ms. Carter. All right. Mr. King? The long wait is over.
I don't know if I want to follow this one.
I'll
take my budget back.
The claws are sharpened now.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
While you're looking now, everybody's hungry.
Oh, no.
Supper time.
Mine's not too bad. There's the budget.
Did you get it?
I think so.
Mr. Chairman, are we doing his reports first, or are we doing the budget?
No, let's do his report first.
The report's pretty, kind of cut and dry.
Yeah.
It's, between the four programs that we have currently operating, we have about 145 total participants. We're nearing the point where we're going to have to go on to a waiting list just because of the participant to staff ratio is a little high. We have 61 currently in drug court. We have 46 in DUI. We have 14 in veterans. We're trying to grow that, and I think we'll see an increase here in the next few months. And then we are at 24 currently as of the end of February in mental health court with a waiting list of about 24 to 25. We're having pretty good success at attracting folks to the programs. I think we've done a pretty good job in educating the public and getting the word out. It's just now trying to get them along.
How often do you have graduations? Is it 6 months for the DUI and drug courts?
We used to do that but because of the influx of clients, we'll have one now in court once or twice a month. We just had one, we had 3 graduate last week in Veterans Court. And I do want to give a thank you to Mission Barbecue. They have agreed to sponsor or cater that any of our veterans graduations going forward. And they catered that one last Wednesday. So I'm really appreciative of that. So they've been a big supporter of our veterans. And, so it was a good barbecue.
Yeah.
This will
Macaroni.
now increase at your veterans.
It has.
graduation.
New interest.
Are we allowed to give a pump up to Mission Barbecue? I mean, they rate the fireman that died recently. They had a service for him. It was a rosary service.
Mhm.
And they brought the barbecue, both kinds and all. I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but where we are, but, and they support veterans and first responders very highly. This one was one out of Opryland, and I think there's also one in Clarksville that I'd heard of, but I'm not a big barbecue fan, but that's where I'm gonna go there periodically to get some barbecue. I'll tell you.
But and we appreciated it. We told them that we would like to take a picture as a thank you and send it to them, and the judge wanted to sign it, and they said that they would frame it and hang it on their wall in the restaurant. They're supportive of anything Rutherford County does as far as its veterans or its emergency personnel. So,
That's awesome. I make a motion that we approve Mr. King's reports as presented.
Second. Motion is second. Further question? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. This next one, you got a budget amendment.
I do have one. This has taken $13,200 out of our data processing services line item in our budget, out of 317. and moving 11,680 to 499 or other supplies and materials for our drug screen cost, and then 1,520 into our office supplies in 435. The reason for that, we haven't used that, is we are looking at merging or switching to a different case management software. It's one similar I use at probation, so this will seemingly streamline both of our case management programs together. It's just taking the vendor a lot longer to put that together and then to take the data that we have here in our old system and convert it into the new system. So that money has sat there in that line item. And now I need it because of our participant increases to cover the cost of the drug screens.
You heard the request.
Are you confident they're going to get that done, Trey, in a reasonable amount of, the reason I'm saying is, as you know, we've had some hangups before when we hear county director saying software and we just need to do this, this, and this. I just want to make sure you feel good about them getting it done with nothing. I know you can't foresee everything, but feel pretty good about what they're doing to get you guys where you need to get.
Yes, sir, I do. It's been a long process. What we're asking them to do is take over every single file that we've had in drug court since the beginning of time and transferring all that data over into the new system.
Okay.
So they don't have to pay an employee hours upon
Yeah, just
hours
to
just to
do
key that
data
in.
entry type stuff,
And it's just
okay.
trying to get their, I don't know all the data terminology, but it's just
Right.
trying to link that up to every new field in their system. And
Yeah, so it's not something countywide you're having implemented. It's a lot of it's just data removal or actually transfer rather than new implementation of new stuff.
Correct,
per se.
and they're going to cover the cost of converting that, so the county
Okay.
is not going to be charged for any of that data time, any of that transfer time. They want our business, so they're willing to do
Yeah.
that free of charge.
Okay.
It's just waiting on them to get to it.
Just mapping the data.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. was-
Sorry, thank you. Data mapping.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget request as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes. Ready for somebody.
Which one you want to take first?
Okay.
There's a one-pager for probation, and there's a three-pager for drug court.
Okay. We might as well get the one pager out of the way.
All right. So for probation, it's pretty standard. There's not a whole lot of change from last year's budget outside of the increase, the step increase, and then the cost of insurance and things like that, except in the very beginning, in line item 111, I would like to move our two admin ones to admin twos, and that's about a $8,000 increase, if I'm not mistaken, total overall. And the main reason for that is we want to use them to start collecting money. If there is a separation between my office and Melissa Harrell's, I would like to, instead of having to maybe hire two additional staff members to cover that, I can just increase my admin ones to admin twos, give them that extra duty, and that'll save us $80,000, $90,000 from two new positions and insurance. So trying to be smart. We may have to add a third person just to help cover if one of them are out, but at this point, I think that's the easiest approach. And then increasing line item 399 by, I want to say $2,000, and that's just because the security guards that we have to hire to protect the building, they're wanting to go up a little bit on their hourly rate. But outside of that, it's just the standard insurance costs and our step raises. And if we ever do get a pretrial services program up and running, I may come back to you and we may amend this to add those positions, but at this point, it hasn't. We're still waiting on the drop dead date, I guess, to see if that's going to be something that we're going to utilize.
Run it back one more time.
The pretrial,
Yeah.
we're still in a holding pattern, I guess, if you would.
This, outside of the two admins, really, it's a continuation budget.
Yes, sir. it is.
Make a motion that we approve this budget as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on.
The more fun time. And the only reason why this is a little bit longer, and I know the difference at the bottom on page 3, you'll see this year we were at $1,045,000 for our budget, and now we're talking about $1,277,000. And the reason that increase is there, it's not that we're requesting, $230,000 or $240,000 in additional revenue. This is part of that money that we received from the federal grant that's going in to hire those additional positions. So that's, there are some costs. There is one position I'm asking for, but a large portion of that is because of the grant funding.
Can you break down 189 as to what's what on that?
The 517, 692, that covers.
How much of that is not the grant?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's not the grant.
How much is,
That's not the grant would be not the SAMHSA grant.
40,000,
I'm sorry.
40,000 plus benefits,
It would be for the case manager
therapist,
and the therapist plus their benefits. So
about, well, the therapist is
About
about
80,000
50
total.
something. Yep.
about 80,000. And then we're adding a mental health. I'm asking for mental health to come out of the general fund at this point. But
So
about
the
80,000.
mental health would be a $100,000 position?
Mental health would be the 40,000
40,000 plus benefits.
plus benefits.
Depending on which plan they choose, so it'd be anywhere between.
So this
45
one
and 50.
jumps about 170, so the grant would be how much, did you say?
About 80 for that
So
line.
the
item.
grant's about half of that entire job, okay, that's what I was getting, so
About
80,000 is organic, we made that decision that we need that position not covered by grant, that's what I was looking for, got it.
So really the only position I'm asking for
Is
at this
that-
point
is
is
the
that
case
one
manager.
mental health case manager. yes.
Got it.
about 40,000 plus benefits?
Yeah, that's what.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what
Said that a different way.
Yeah, that's
I
all right.
apologize.
Yeah, the grant's covered, that is money we're gonna recoup.
Yes, sir. There's no ambulances, there's no SWORD vehicles. I'm not asking for.
No defibrillators yet, right?
You haven't finished yet, so.
No, sir, I have not. But that's, as we'll see there. And part of it, we had money this year to hire some of those positions, but because of the lack of space until we get the other building fully there, that's why we haven't had a chance to draw down that money. Outside of that, I know there's other line items that seem like it's increasing, but a lot of this is that grant money that's coming into it. So as you'll see, the Veterans Treatment Court, VTC2, as well as SAMHSA, those are all additional grants. The veterans, we will receive about $100,000 each year. The SAMHSA grant, we have $300,000 we receive in revenue.
Is the veterans, is that state? Is that what they
This
pass?
is, no, sir, this is the second one. So I have one that I receive $70,000 every year. Then I've gotten another grant through the state for veterans at $100,000. So we're getting $170,000 for veterans. And this will allow me to hire a therapist as well. That's part of that grant there. As well as keeping our case manager and our peer support specialist.
So the 22% increase is not reflective of how much increase in terms of relating to property tax that we're going to be doing. Most of this 22% increase, majority of it's going to be covered by grant funds.
Correct. With the exception of
The 40,000.
the 40,000 and the benefits that it relates to. Yes.
And the sort truck.
And the SWORD truck.
Okay, that bottom line.
Yes, sir.
$1,277,000 round numbers. How much of that's coming from grants, and how much is the general fund? Get that roughly for us. Miss Sonia over there can help us out too.
I can only take you so far.
Tom, I include grants, revenue from the participants, money that we receive from the court cost and fines that are paid back. I think that we are bringing in $700,000 to $800,000 in revenue. So of that, maybe the general fund is having to supplement 450 of that total, of our total budget.
This 351 rentals, is that new?
That is new, and I wanted to get to that. And that's something that, that's on page 3, the 13,500. And what that is we are, in this county, we only have right now 3 sober living homes for either men or women. Out of 300 and some odd thousand, population here, we have 3 homes, and each of those homes may be 5 bedrooms max each, and that's it for any type of halfway house, sober living home here. We were able to work with Murfreesboro Housing Authority, and they agreed to give us one of their homes that they've had, take it out of their rotation from HUD, allow us to move in 5 females, and it's a 5-bedroom home, give it to us. We would be able to take 5 of our participants, move into there at a cost of $225 per participant per month, and that covers all the utilities as well as the cost of the rental. So the mayor thought it would be a good idea to put it in our budget, that the county will pay MHA each month. I think it's $1,125 a month, and then we would charge a participant $200 or $225, and then it would just be reimbursed that way. But we're still going to look at that. But in case the participant didn't have the funds coming out of jail or whatever else, the county would cover that cost.
Explain 499 to us.
$499, and the reason for that jump from 50 to 75,000 is 100% drug screens. Because now we have 145, we'll probably have 150, but between that we will average 300 drug screens a week at a cost of $5.40 per screen. That's $1,620 a week we spend in drug screens. And if we did that by 52, that's $84,240 just for drug screen costs. So, I mean, that's what that line item is primarily used for. And then we'll have some additional money that I can draw down from the federal grants to help offset the remainder of that $9,000 to $10,000 that's going to cost us. But if we just do 2 screens a month, that's how much it costs. I mean, 2 screens a week, that's how much it costs us. It's not cheap.
Those are already established grants, Trey, that
Yes.
are coming in that you just referenced?
Yes, sir. I mean, the ADC, the other drug screen supplies, there was that line item of the DUI, 2,044. That's how much normally money we get in. 547 from the mental health court grant, 453 from Veterans Treatment Court, drug court grant of 3,151 will help, and then SAMHSA of 18,185. Looks like.
I think there's something else we need to remember too. The ones that go through these programs we have are also saving us from having them out on 700 Salem Highway.
Yeah.
Which there, so something that doesn't show up when you just show 940.
940, 700 days.
Close.
I knew it was in the right area,
I
yeah.
just wonder why it said 700. Oh.
You put them at Comcast.
Yeah.
No, the ambitions.
Okay.
But outside of 499, line 351, and then the other portion of adding for the mental health court, that's really the only true increases that I've asked for.
Make a motion that we approve Mr. King's budget for drug court.
Second.
Further questions? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And I did want to tell the committee, I did make application, and we have myself and the mayor have a presentation April the 2nd in front of Christy Houston on the building that we asked for drug court. I think we spent $1.1 million, $1.2 million, whatever it was. What was it? $1.1 million, and I've asked the foundation, and so far I think that we're going to have a pretty good shot, but I've asked Christy Houston to reimburse the county $250,000 of that purchase for the programs that we're operating here, and I think that we have about a 95% shot at getting it. I'm pretty comfortable, so we'll be able to bring some of that money back in.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody got anything else? Okay, Will mentioned something just for your own edification. I checked today. I'm just curious when it gets this time of the year, how much commissions pulled out of unassigned fund balance during the year. And right now it's 1.1 million we've taken from unassigned fund for something. And I could have told you what the big chunk was, but it escapes me at the moment.
Is that during the current budget or for this budget?
Oh, it's,
That's
Oh,
for the
it's-
current budget right now, isn't it?
yeah, it's your building. That's a big chunk that we bought. I thought it might have been the one that we got for the sheriff, but I guess that was last fiscal year. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right, we're adjourned.
You can understand.